Hey everyone, Newman here with 910. Today we're going over the FX Panthera trigger. I'm going to be showing you how to adjust the trigger and how to access it if you need to. As you can notice on this FX Panthera, there's a lot missing. There's no plenum, no barrel, no rear stock. I took all this off so I could zoom the video on more and not have all the distracting stuff in the way and be able to, access the gun more easily. So with that being said, the tools that we will be using today are a 5mm, a 4mm, a 3mm, a 2mm, and as small as a 1.5mm. We've got a 1.27. That is for the trigger shoe. That's all the tools. So 6 different hex sizes just for the trigger. So let's get into it. So the first thing that we're going to go over is accessing the trigger from the outside. What type of adjustments we can make from the outside. The first thing is you'll see this hole right here. This is actually so you can adjust your second stage, because obviously you can't see it back here. It's a 2mm that's back in there. So we've got our 2mm. You can go right in here, and I don't know if I can. Yep, you can see it. Yep, there you go. You can barely see my Allen key moving back in there. But if you go straight through that hole, it's a little bit of an angled hole. You'll find it, and there you go, right there. And not sure if I'll, yep, there you go. I can turn it with my hands. How about that? So there you go. So turning it in increases the second stage, and turning it out decreases the second stage. It's going to be Loctited from the factory, so you may not be able to turn it by hand. You may have to get a L or something, maybe like a straight bit on a Panasonic here to help you give more torque, in order to turn that without heating it up. The next screw is right here, the one just north of, or just forward of the silver screw, and that is your first stage adjustment. That was a 1.5. It's more easily to use an L on that right there, an L-shaped Allen key or hex key. That's going to access that a lot better, but you can access this while it's still on the rifle. So you can access the second stage and the first stage. Technically, you'd be able to get to the safety, which is right here. That screw right there, that's the safety. Also, you can adjust your trigger pull, or where your trigger starts pulling at. That's a 1.5 as well. But it's that screw, let's see if we can get some light out. There we go. That screw right there. That's the one that's going to adjust the travel, this bar sliding back and forth. And as you can see, that screw right there, that's the last screw I was talking about. That takes a 1.27 or 1.3 as well. It could be 1.3. Oh wow, and this one was loose just to the finger, which is very rare. Normally that one's a lot harder to access. But that adjusts the rotation of the trigger shoe as well as the height. There's not much height that can be added. But that's also important for if you're swapping out the trigger shoe. Let's say you go to a 910 or Bullet Central pinpoint trigger shoe. That's a possibility. Or, another brand, other brands have trigger shoes as well now coming out. So, and there's other shoes coming out from 910. So if you ever get one of those in the future, you may want to swap it onto this gun. So that's how you do it. It's 1.27. Other brands may use other sizes, but the stock one from FX is a 1.27. Now to get into the juicy stuff. In order to access the actual trigger itself, in order not to have to use any special tools or anything like that, we got to remove the trigger guard. In order to remove the trigger guard, you have to remove the handle. In order to remove the handle, and there's the screw right there. This is again a 5mm. Also, that's how you change the grip if you ever need to switch over to like an ergo grip or something like that. That's how you do it. It's just a 5mm screw in there. It doesn't affect anything on the rest of the rifle, just that. Alright, take the set to the side. So after this, you'll see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. This one uses a 4mm hex. And it's a little short screw, so we're going to leave it there. The other 3 screws are 3mm hex. There you go. Real easy to take out. I'm going to set this 3mm to the side. Now don't just hastily take this trigger guard off. There's actually a spring underneath it. So as we lift up, we're going to carefully set this to the side, or just right there. And you'll see right here, there's a spring. That is the safety. See it move as I move the safety? There you go, and that's what's giving you your click of the safety. There's a spring and there's a ball bearing underneath that spring. So we're just going to take a small little Allen. We're going to hook that spring out, set it down, and roll the action over. Ball bearing doesn't come out. Just flick the safety a couple times. And there you go. There's the 3mm ball bearing. So now you see, now we have full access to the trigger. We can easily adjust the second stage. Like I said, that was the 2mm. This is your trigger wheel screw. That's a 2mm as well. There's no reason to ever have to adjust that. Then with our 1.5, we got our first stage, we got our safety, and then we got our adjustment, or post adjustment screw. So we can access all those a lot easier with that. It's also a way to access the regulator on a Panthera. In order to drop the trigger out, it's just like a Dreamline. You take out this screw right here. You punch the pin out from the other side. You won't be able to use a 1.5 though. You will have to use a 1.27 or a 1.3 or even something smaller than that. It's just anything smaller than a 1.5. So there you have it. There's accessing the trigger on the FX Panthera. I'm not going to go into adjustments too much, just a quick overview. The first screw right here, 1.5mm hex. This is your first stage. The more you turn it in, the less first stage you have. The more you turn it out, or counterclockwise, the more first stage you have. So that's the first stage is going to be the swing of the trigger. The next screw is a 2mm hex. That is your trigger wheel screw that holds your trigger wheel to the trigger. There is no reason to touch that screw ever, unless for some reason it is loose, but I highly doubt that. No real reason to ever touch that screw. The next screws will be the post adjustment screw. So the 1.5mm right there, that adjusts the forward and back movement of the post. And then you got that little tiny screw right there that takes a 1.3 or 1.27. That is the rotation of the trigger shoe and the up and down of the trigger shoe. The next screw after that, the 1.5mm hex, second to last screw, that is your safety adjustment screw. That is the screw determining whether your safety works or not. If that screw is not turned in far enough, your safety will not work. If it's turned out too far, your safety will not work. If it's turned in too far, your safety will not work. The last but not least, the second stage adjustment screw using a 2mm hex key. That is determining the second stage of the trigger. So as you pull through, that's going to give you a nice wall, and it's going to break and give you the second stage. Turning that screw in will give you more second stage to the point that the gun will not fire. Pulling out that screw will give you less second stage to the point that you do not have any second stage. You only have a first stage. Thank you for watching the video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content or if it was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please leave in the comments section below. If you need to shoot me an email or visit any of my social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, or visit my website, that's all in the description below. And as always, happy shooting.